burn it down. Burn it down. We gon' burn it down. Burn it down.
I killed it, it's murder. I killed it, it's murder. I killed it, it's murder. I killed it, it's murder.
I killed it, it's murder, go crazy, berserker. I killed it, it's murder, go crazy, berserker. I killed it, it's murder, go crazy, berserker. I killed it, it's murder, go crazy, berserker.
Show them. Change the station with a new shit. Show them. Change the station with a new shit. Change the station. Change the station. Change the station with a new shit. With a new shit. Change the station. Change the station. Change the station with a new shit. With a new shit.
I've never seen you with such tired eyes. And everything we said we'd be, we just traded for a suit coat and a tie. And underneath the rows of trees, I will see you where the ocean meets the sky. Under your toes, fire grows. You are ready for a different kind of life. You're silent for the wind is cold.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Diggity, a video game podcast, episode number 277. I'm Jeff James. With me tonight, as always, the incredible, unobtainable, sometimes referred to as transmittable.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Am I a virus?
Luscious Brody Falls. I don't know. I was trying to fucking think of a word. Not
Transmittable.
My fucking bad. I thought there was a better word, but that's definitely not it.
Just kind of sums up, how this week is going. So fuck it, sure.
Yeah, hey, I've got a virus, I guess. I'm kind of feeling under the weather, but what's not under the weather? This podcast. I'm feeling so shitty. Anyways, welcome. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. You will not catch a viral infection from listening to this podcast. I want to make that clear, loud and clear. 2, you will learn about great news and things that have happened in the video game world across the interwebs from Brody and myself every single week. Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, Twitch and YouTube. And then the audio version of the podcast is on Fridays at the butt crack of dawn. I'm bringing it back. I'm using it. I don't care. I'll abuse it. Doesn't matter, baby. You can also follow us and check us out on YouTube. We're part of something called Spawn Camp. You go to youtube.com/SpawnCampCo to go see some cool stuff. If you don't like Gundam, that's all right. You can watch Diggity on there. That's fine. But there's everything from Gundam to video games to Nick talking about Doom. There's a bunch of pop culture stuff. There's WC and Beyond's podcast, which is more PC gaming, as well as some pop culture stuff, talking about different movies and video game-esque things and just kind of geek culture in general. And then, ladies and gentlemen, nothing in life is free, especially in a world of inflation. But may I introduce you to our Discord, which is indeed free and a great community where you can hop online and talk to people, everything about Formula One to video games to what the hell they ate. Does not matter. Good people on there. Good vibes all day, all the time. Very hard to find a place on the internet that is not a deathly war zone. So, that's one of the few places. It's a gem. It's a gem. Hard to find
a national treasure.
Yes, absolutely. And with that, I think we're good to kind of go off on our sweet old Ragnarok side of stuff. You wanna touch on Big Daddy Kratos?
So, Daddy Kratos, as I refer to him. I unfortunately have not gotten to put as much time into this game as I would like. I have been working quite a bit, and so I've been playing a little bit here and there. I think I'm only, 6 or 7 hours, so this is very much a review in progress type of thing. And how we typically do those, I just kind of talk about what I've experienced so far. I can't put a final recommendation or necessarily anything at the end of it. There's no number scale or anything. But so far I'm liking it. I will say it is hard for them to outdo how I felt about the first one. And that is not their fault, except for they set the bar too damn high. I will say so far I am really enjoying this game, and I think there's a lot of good things. I also think there's some things that I don't care as much for. So far I find some of the enemies very fucking annoying. Um, I, I just, yeah, it just, I'm trying to say this without spoiling it. There's some enemies that launch projectiles that are annoying as hell, and they use them way too much in the area I was in. And I get it, it's kind of the thing. But then in the next area, I found an enemy that is annoying as hell. And so I'm finding, I don't know if it's just me in the combat and I'm just not quite gelling with it. It seems like they have like the directional arrows that pop up when you get hit or somebody's getting ready to hit you, and they're not always right, which is fucking bizarre.
Mechanic.
Yeah, it's a very strange thing. I don't know what the deal with that is, but overall, I think this game's really good. I think the story is not quite as compelling as the first one was. I mean, the first one was simple, but it really brought a lot of cool things out. Again, I'm also very early on, and I've heard that the second half does a lot of the carrying on this. I've also heard some people are kind of upset about the ending, which I have remained spoiler free, I believe. But I think there's a lot of good here, right? I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with the fact that it feels like I'm just playing an extension of 2018. I think there's some aspects of that are kind of cool because it very much does feel like, hey, there was 4 or 5 years in between these, and here you are, like, bang, you're into a new story. But I also, I mean, it looks pretty much the same as 2018. It plays pretty much the same as 2018. There's not a whole lot of improvements from a technical standpoint that really make me kind of go, wow, I'm playing a next gen game. Out of some of the next gen new, or not, again, we don't like saying next gen for this, but out of a PS5 game, this, out of all of them that have come out so far, this almost feels pretty low as far as from the technical standpoint. And I feel like I could have played this on a PS4 Pro just as easy as I'm playing it on a PS5.
Yeah, I heard, just to stop on the technical piece, I heard on the technical piece from the frame rate side, if you have like a HD, was it 2.0 or something like that television? God, I just called it television. My God. If you have an HD 2.0 TV, like it gets up to like 100 and something frames a second or something like that, 120, like something solid. But anyways, essentially, like, it runs buttery smooth is what I've heard from a technical aspect. But I also thought this is I'm skewed though, because I'm playing God of War Remastered, right, off my PS5 when I had, and I thought that was buttery smooth because it fucking was when they remastered it, but or relaunched it, however you want to look at that. Like, is there at least that to it? Like, when you say that's great that, like, when you play this one, that you're like, oh, it just there's a 5-year gap, and then it goes to the next one. Here's my question on that: does it feel like a 5-year gap, like they just fucking hit pause for 5 years and then turn the fucking thing back on, and now they're aged a little bit more, or and like the assets are like pretty similar, or does it actually feel like a new experience?
It very much does feel like a new experience. In the way of the world has changed around you. Each of these areas you're going to, I don't know how much of a spoiler this is, but I'm gonna say it anyway. You go to some places you've been before. You go to some places you've been before, and those places have changed over the 5 years. And even at the beginning, right, you are eventually at the same cabin that that Kratos was living in the first game. So, but you see how that has changed, how that has evolved, how they have kind of built this life in this area. But it's and then I mean, essentially it's winter there now too, so there's that as well. But I guess I was hoping for maybe another leap in a technological sort of standpoint, where I was hoping to see some power taken from this. Granted, they did it cross-platform, which I understand considering there's so many PS4s out there. But I just, I think in that way I was a little disappointed, but I get it also. But we're also getting to that point. I hate to say it, but we got to move on to the next, the current generation that has been out for 2 years now. We're hitting that point
like crazy. I mean, they built a shit
Right.
ton of these things.
Right. The story, as I was saying earlier, I think it is good so far. It is just not as compelling. There was something about the simplicity of that first one where he is going with his son to spread the ashes of his wife and his son's mother. And I think there was something simple about that where they literally wanted to do one thing and they got pulled into all sorts of other crazy shit. And seeing them grow, and I'm sure there's going to be something along those lines here, but the introduction of Thor and Odin, that's not a spoiler. If you've watched a trailer, that's there. The introduction of them feels weird and forced and kind of out of nowhere, and the first kind of thing you go off to do feels kind of weird as well. Like, I think it's more to show like Kratos is listening to Atreus, but he follows Atreus kind of a little bit on a bit of a goose chase, at least from where I'm at in the story now. I don't know. Like I said, I'm enjoying the puzzle aspects. I'm enjoying the gameplay. I'm enjoying a lot of things about it. Don't get me wrong. This is a fantastic game. I am being nitpicky only because the first game is one of my top 5 favorite games of all time. I found myself wanting to wander a lot and go check out places, but it is very linear in a lot of areas. And so where you see like a very, very beautiful like mountain off in the distance on a very specific like level, you can't go and explore too much there. But it is very like on the rails, like, oh, there's a tree down here or there's this, and so where it compels me to want to explore, I am not able to explore, and then where it compels me, or where I kind of just want to follow the story, is where I can actually go explore and find things and do additional things, I guess. There are some really cool set pieces, like kind of how the World Serpent was a big part of the first one. There's not in a side mission you see another large animal that is fucking cool when it happens. I won't say any more than that.
It's a cat. No.
Yeah, Nick telling us it's described as wide linear. Anyway, I feel like I don't make a point to ever want to say it is I want an open world game out of this, because I don't. I enjoy the linear feeling of a game every once in a while, and I think this one really does it well, and it has just enough exploration to keep you enticed. And every time you walk into a room, you're looking around for something additional, because there's almost always some like treasure chest somewhere or something you can do, but you have to solve a puzzle in order to get there, and I find that very interesting. What I don't find interesting about the puzzle is the fact that Mimir and Atreus, if you wait more than 3 seconds, they tell you how to solve the puzzle. And I find that quite frustrating, because that's half of the fun of the game. Don't take that from me. There are also some points where I waited too long for them to actually give me a hint, where I just kind of was staying up too late and was borderline brain dead, and all of a sudden I couldn't figure out a puzzle. So, and I wanted that help. It seemed like it came when you didn't want it and was not there when you needed it. And I found that a little frustrating. But again, these are all nitpicks. Overall, this is a fantastic fucking game. The combat is a lot of fun, even if there are some elements of it that I don't really enjoy. But I enjoy having, the option on weapons and being able to combo those in a useful way, in a meaningful way even. The upgrade trees have been pretty cool so far. Not necessarily like over the top exciting, but I think they're good. I really just want to dive into it more before I don't know. It sounds like I'm shitting all over the game, and that's not my intention at all. It is
I don't
more I'm
think
just
you are.
hypercritical.
Well, I think the whole thing is, and like listening to other podcasts, it's, no matter how you want it to go, it's going to be the comparison across the last one, because this is literally the next installment to it. So
Correct.
if you don't compare that to the last one, I think you'd be doing a disservice. Anyway,
Absolutely.
I heard that there were some, not a ton, because Santa Monica is not going to do that, but there's some glitches and stuff like that have appeared, or some weird little fucking hiccups. Like there's some progression hiccups that some people have had. Maybe
I have not ran into any at the moment.
Have you seen those online? Like some of the stuff people posted?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them. I've tried to stay clear because I don't want to be spoiled. So I've been steering clear of most of the God of War stuff. But yeah, about 6 or 7 hours in, I will say, from as much as I wished it did more technically, I think it is very smooth. I have not had many issues. I think the biggest problem I've had with the and I don't even think it's a glitch. I think it's just something. I don't know what it is. Was those weapon indicator or the damage indicators coming from the enemies
from different sides that are
that's probably the closest thing to a bug I've really experienced so far.
Sure.
I mean, I haven't gotten out of the boat and Kratos' arm is fucking backwards and Atreus is stuck in his ribs or some shit. Nothing like that has happened. You don't turn around and all of a sudden Mimir has a body and he's T-posing behind you or anything. But I think overall it is a fantastic game. It's a good follow up to one of my favorite games of all time. I just don't know if at this point it is not the same feeling that I had in 2018, but I also say that knowing that I played 2018 and I kind of fell off of it a little bit, and it took me a long time to come back to it and then power through it, and I couldn't stop playing it. And this isn't an issue of, I'm going to stop playing it, because that I have no intention of doing that. I am absolutely going to finish this game and make my way through as much of the content as I possibly can, the side quests. I'm trying not to miss anything. I'm trying to get as many chests as I can. I'm trying to do almost everything in this game. It's fucking fantastic. If you love the first one, or I say first one, but the reboot 2018, you will love this as well. This is a great game. It plays fantastic, and it is just overall as exciting as the first one. It's just they kind of fucked themselves, right? They set the bar just so damn high that it is hard to meet that.
Is it worth?
What's that?
Is it worth the hype?
I would say there is. Yes, I think it is worth the hype.
Okay.
Yeah. Huh?
Oh, sorry. I thought you lost me for a second. That's why you're like this.
No, you just got quiet. It's cool.
My bad.
I don't know if it was my end or your end.
My bad.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the hype. It is definitely worth a purchase if you were even on the fence about it. The only thing I would say is if you were kind of leaning towards no, or you can wait. You can wait for a sale, and I think that would be perfectly fine. I mean, you will miss out on some of the water cooler talks, but here I am, a week into it, and a shitload of people have already beat it, and which is crazy because it's at least 35 hours if you want to complete everything. It's not a small game. Jesus. So I'm definitely behind the curve a little bit as far as where a good chunk of people are, at least, people that do, gaming podcasts and stuff of that nature. But that's the way she go.
I'm kind of stunned at, honestly, your review lines up with so much other stuff I've been listening to and on Twitter. And I I think you have the same notion too, but I think it's just like you said, the hype. The bar is set so high. Like, how do you live up to that? And I just
Right.
that's the only thing I can attribute to it right now is why it's got a 10 out of 10 on most publications, which is great.
And I think that's kind of fucked up. I would not give it a 10 out of 10 if I had to put it on a number scale.
Yeah. I mean, what's it sitting on Metacritic right now? Let me take a look at that.
I'm not sure. Where I stand now, I am somewhere
94.
between 94. I am somewhere between, like, if I had to put it on a number scale, I would give it like
Well, it's a 94,
8.5 or
8.4 for users.
okay. I would give it like an 8.5 to 9, right? Like I think it's a fucking fantastic game, but it is certainly not a perfect game. This is not.
Gotcha.
To say it is a perfect 10 is, I think, a little bit fanboyism of like, I just don't think it's there. And that's not a knock at it. I think it's more of a knock at half the people that are reviewing games.
Half
And
people who are reviewing games are brutal.
yeah.
So
So again, I don't want this to turn anybody away from it because it is fantastic. It's just it's fucking tough because it's up against great competition that is itself. So
so perfect segue for that. Do you think this is Game of the Year because it was nominated for Game of the Year at the Game Awards? Unsurprisingly, amongst its nominees, do you want to hear them real quick?
Yeah, we might as well hit those real quick.
Okay, so you've got Stray, right? Xenoblade Chronicles 3, A Plague Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, and then God of War Ragnarok.
That is such these Game of the Year
There's the crazy
nominees are
spread here, bro.
fucking wild. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
this could have been maybe 3 games.
yeah. I think at the end of the day, this pretty much comes down to God of War or Elden Ring in my book. Like, those are the only two options in my head that actually win.
Yeah, Forbidden West was like okay, like it was good.
And even people that love the first one kind of said the same thing. They're like, I don't know, it was fine. Like, I just don't care for the Horizon series, so that's just my personal opinion. So I think at the end of the day, this is going to come down to God of War, Ragnarok, or Elden Ring. And in my book, I think Elden Ring has done more. I personally, we're actually going to be doing a episode next Monday with the WASD boys, where we are going to be going through and basically making our predictions as well as telling what our picks would be on all of the announcements or all of the things from the Game Awards. We may even make a few like fucking sly remarks at old Jeff Keighley. I don't know. You never know. But it should be fun. So definitely check that out next week. But that being said, I spoiler, Elden Ring is absolutely my fucking game of the year. Like no fucking doubt in my mind right now.
I figured as much. I mean, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that.
Yeah,
all.
I put so much time into it. It got me into the Dark Souls series. Like it took the Dark Souls series and actually innovated on it. I think there's way too many things that it did to improve its formula, whereas God of War kind of did the same thing, which again is great, but it is not. In my book, I think there should be something about how this innovated and how this made something better. And yeah, that's about where I'm at.
No, I can see that. I respect that for sure. Cool. All right. I'm going to get to my first, I guess, story. Can I bring it up? Am I good? Or do we miss anything else? We're all good? We caught up?
I think you're good.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Okay. Phil Spencer says that delaying Starfield into 2023 was, quote, the right thing to do. And it's not so much what Phil Spencer says. It's kind of what I want to bring up and discuss quickly. But this is what basically came from CEO P3. He says, we have experienced shipping games too early, but in hindsight, when you look at a game like Starfield, which has taken so long and so much investment in new IP from the team, the decision to give the team the time to build the game that they feel they should be building is just the right thing to do, Spencer said. According to Spencer, Microsoft wanted to make certain that Bethesda and Arcane could deliver the best games possible, as Starfield and Redfall will be the first true Xbox console exclusive releases following the $7.5 billion acquisition of ZeniMax. He says, quote, I just wanted to make sure those teams felt that they had the support they could get from Xbox, maybe feel some of the benefit of being part of a larger organization that has other revenue streams and other things going on that could be helpful. Spencer had a few other interesting stories to share during his appearance on The Verge's podcast a while back. He once again commented that Call of Duty's future on PlayStation, which is like beating a fucking dead horse at this point in time.
Jesus.
And he spoke about how the Activision Blizzard acquisition is focused on mobile games like Candy Crush so that they can, obviously get to go through. In a previous interview, Spencer mentioned how Starfield won't feel like a big budget Skyrim in space, although fans can expect classic Bethesda gameplay elements such as dialogue options.
Hey. You know who else does dialogue options? A lot of fucking people.
Starfield and vampire hunting game Redfall are currently scheduled to launch in the first half of 2023. And while they'll be console exclusive to Xbox Series X and S, you'll also be able to play them on PC as well. Okay, so the real question on this thing, let's get past the first one. First real quick and easy one. Starfield, give me a quick elevator pitch on your current thoughts of it.
I think it's going to be a Bethesda game.
Fact.
Set in space.
Facts.
I think it is going to be a buggy, absolute fucking mess, and a lot of people are going to hate it at launch, and I think eventually modders are going to come in and fix the game, because that's how Bethesda games go, and this time it's in space.
Beautiful. I think... Oh, okay. Do you still have more stuff, or now are you good?
No, I think that pretty well sums it up.
Cool. I think that they have put all their eggs into this one basket, hoping to God that this game would go. We're now, what?
There's a hole in the basket.
Fucking years into... since pitching Starfield, or is it longer? Is it 4 or 5?
No,
5?
It's longer.
Can you look that up?
Yeah.
Anyways, let's say we're 5 years into this shit. And we've pitched it numerous times. We've talked about shit numerous times. The fact that he has to come out and say it's not going to be a Skyrim in space when everyone thinks it's going to be Skyrim in space.
Oh, hold on to your fucking pantaloons, my guy. Starfield was originally trademarked on the 13th of September of 2023. Or sorry, 2020. Jesus fucking hell. 2013. Holy God.
Future!
The future! The game, however, was not formally announced until 2018.
So, okay, yeah.
4 years.
We'll be at 5 by 2023.
Alongside The Elder Scrolls 6, which is gonna be... It's gonna be so long! Oh no!
I think that you were correct. It's going to launch. I think it's going to be underwhelming.
Yes.
They're using a new engine, have stuff improved. Yes, it's still not to the level that you would see from other games, and then they mask that with, but it's a huge open world. Let's fucking see. But when they showed the shit
that,
off,
though.
bro, it
I'm
was
over
like,
that,
what
right?
the fuck?
Like,
surely they're going to show more at the Game Awards.
Oh, I would hope so.
Surely.
So my thing with open worlds, and I feel like we've gone down this road before, but
Yes.
just very quickly, I am not opposed to open worlds. I am opposed to giant open worlds that want to be big for the sake of being big and then fill it with a bunch of mediocre bullshit. I enjoy open world games that are done well. Spider-Man. I fucking loved Spider-Man. Absolutely fucking loved
serious.
Spider-Man. Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't think the world was too ungodly big and it was fine, but all the shit to do was boring as hell. Elden Ring. I loved that fucking world that they created because there was so much unique shit to actually do. Granted, a lot of it is fighting and trying to stay alive, but that is what the game is about. Stuff like Valhalla, though, where it is a stupidly large for the sake of being stupidly large, not fun. Not fun at all. I don't enjoy that. So I just throwing that out there. Starfield, it's a giant open world. That's fine. Is it gonna have anything to do? Is it gonna be cool? Is there gonna be shit to actually do on these planets that you can go to, or is it gonna be fucking Fallout 4 but with less shit and more area?
Yeah. No, I full well hear you on that. I mean, it's I think, I don't know if I'm being unfair when I say this, but this is exactly what I was talking about with Microsoft taking over a fucking company 5 years ago.
I don't even think this is a Microsoft issue. This has been Bethesda for years.
I know it's Bethesda's there for years, but it doesn't fucking help the situation because they got
It certainly
bought
does
up.
not.
They're in a situation where they're like, well, we can't fucking do anything because we don't know what the fuck we're doing. So we're just going to let people sit around and do their shit.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I think that, like, this shit's going to happen with other shit. Like, think about how fucking far we are into this shit, dude. And all we have is Halo and a Forza.
Yeah. And Halo was bad. The campaign was okay.
And you had a layup from the fans saying, this is what we would like. Can you please change this shit? And it's still fucking bad. It's still fucking bad. Yeah.
I think they just launched Forge, or they're planning to launch Forge. I don't even know if it's out yet. I just stopped giving a shit, quite frankly.
No, the game's dead.
Yeah, it's dead as hell.
The game's dead as hell. So it's like, that's their keystone shit. And then they're going to rest on this shit. If this shit does not go well, that is not a fucking good sign, bro.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. I think the Bethesda purchase was not a great idea. I personally, there is a market, right? There is a market for Bethesda games. I am fucking so far out of that market.
Yeah.
I don't find the jankiness charming. It's not charming. It's not funny. It's fucking stupid at this point.
And you noted the mods, but Bethesda has done so many things to get rid of, like, Microsoft's done so many things to get rid of the mod piece.
Right. And Bethesda lives on that shit, though. I mean, you have to have that. They released the what was it? The enhanced edition of Skyrim, where it actually, even on console, you could install some mods. So I don't know, right? Like, I used to enjoy Bethesda games, and as I've gotten older, I have decided that I do not enjoy the jank. I don't want to fucking deal with it. It's not fucking charming. It's not cute. It's not a bug, it's a feature. No, it's a fucking bug, and you aren't gonna fix it, and that's why it's a feature. Like, I find that shit old at this point. I'm not saying every game has to be fucking perfect at launch, but a little bit of polish goes a long fucking way. Yes, it has to be more than what we have seen in the past. I mean, Fallout 4 was awful at launch. It was terrible. It is easily one of the worst Fallout games, and I just it has life now. But again, that's because modders came in and fixed the fucking thing.
Have we
heard
about
sells on
microtransactions at all with this or no?
I doubt there's going to be microtransactions. I mean, there may be some bullshit like what Ubisoft pulls where they're like, you can just basically skip playing our game if you buy this. But as far as I've seen so far, I don't think there's going to be microtransactions. They seem to make a lot of their microtransaction money from like ESO Online, and even Fallout 76 surprisingly enough, that actually brings in money. It's fucking bizarre. I know people that play it. It's so weird to me.
Get another Fallout 76 expansion, probably.
Oh, I would probably lay money on that. I don't want to completely shit on it, right? But I feel like the hype around this is way too big, and it is going to be something that is going to let a lot of people down, and people are going to act surprised when this shit comes out and it's broken as hell. And I'm gonna be here to say, told you so. I don't know. Like, that's just kind of where I'm at this point. The hype train has killed so many games, and that's exactly, as Nick's noted in our Twitch chat earlier, exactly why there's never going to be a Half-Life 3, because they know they can't live up to the expectation for that, and so they're smart, and they're not going to make the fucking thing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, on to your story, because I took too long on that.
No, you're good. That was probably more so me than you. As we were talking about the game of the year earlier, we actually have a little bit of news about one of the games of the year, or potential game of the year. So Elden Ring has actually sold 17.5 million copies.
It's wild.
For a franchise that was considered niche. 17.5 million copies in, like, what, 6 months, something like that?
Yeah, 6 or 7 months.
That's wild. I'm curious how many people stuck with it. I know Evan from WASD did not. He could not really get into it, but Nick and I pretty much explored every single part of that fucking world and enjoyed every single minute of it. It's a fantastic game. If you haven't played it and you want to get into like a Bloodborne style game, or, you know, Dark Souls, or whatever you really have latched onto, this is a great chance to do that, and do it with a lot of different styles combined. There's some like Bloodborne type weapons. There's some even like Sekiro style weapons. You know, you can get some katanas. There's so much to do. There's a lot of ways to kind of circumvent how difficult the game is, where you can go and kind of do a little bit of farming or whatever it may be in order to level up. Honestly, I just really adore this game. I'm so excited to see an expansion. I hope it's announced at the Game Awards. We will see. But it's awesome to see 17.5 million. I hope they do another game in this style where it is this open world, because this is an open world that I fell in love with, even though typically open world games are not my jam. So good for them, and I'm excited to see what they do next.
Killer. Moving on to the next story. Xbox shelved the Keystone streaming console because it was too expensive to produce. So Phil Spencer said the device would ideally launch with a controller at $99 to $129 to be a viable product for Microsoft, I guess, for Xbox. But back in May, Microsoft confirmed it had shelved the project known as Keystone. And there's speculation as to why they weren't doing it. Part of that speculation was, did they have the right technology for infrastructure? Did people really give a shit about cloud gaming? What was the deal behind all of it? But Spencer said that quote, the console we built that now people have seen, Keystone, was more expensive than we wanted it to be when we actually built it out with the hardware that we had inside. And we decided to focus that team's efforts on delivering the smart TV streaming app, he told Decoder. Earlier this year, Microsoft announced a partnership with Samsung. Obviously, we brought that up before, to bring an Xbox cloud gaming app to the latter's latest smart TVs. They probably got paid for that. That's also why they
I'm sure
did that. And at Gamescom, somebody ended up speaking to the principal product manager, Harrison Hoffman, who said that streaming through the TVs is the key to taking cloud gaming mainstream, which we've talked about numerous times. Just have a little stick
I would agree with
in
that.
the back
Yep.
of it, and you're good to go. You know, some of these smart TVs aren't so smart. Like, you buy them, they're good for like 2 years. You try to update the apps, whatever. That's why I've went and bought an Apple TV and put it into my Roku, because it's like the Rokus are the fucking worst.
Right.
We're like,
Right.
oh, this is garbage after like a year or two. But
yeah,
you can confirm on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same with
I
Google
bought a
TVs.
couple different
Holy
Rokus,
fuck.
but
Brutal. Chromecast, all that shit.
yeah. I'm surprised that this is too expensive to make. I mean, granted, I think it's more the timing of it than anything.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's so much.
You
Right.
know, like that.
I think
maybe it's
I
operating.
think it would be sustainable. I just think right now the timing is so fucking terrible with how, granted, a lot of shit is actually coming down in price as far as PC parts go, but you also have Nvidia out here being like, hey, give us like fucking $1,500 for our next GPU, and you're like, you
got
can fuck
AMD
yourself.
coming out being like, hey, fuck you, give us 600.
Right.
I will
So
take
it-
anything.
Yeah, like, I don't know if I can buy our shit. But I I feel like it is a miss to not do this, but I also understand that there's things that we don't see on that side of things. I think it could be a very successful product. I think it would sell like fucking crazy,
Oh
but
my god,
the loss
bro.
they would take on it in order to get somebody in on Game Pass, I don't know how long
You
that
know
would
what
take to
that means
balance
too?
out.
And why they didn't do it on the loss means that Game Pass doesn't fucking make money.
I would agree that currently Game Pass is not making money. Yes.
Correct. Otherwise, you'd
Es-
say fuck it. Go put it out
Especially
there.
because there's a lot of people that are still in on like the
Dollar
fucking dollar shit where they have it for like 3 years for a total of $10 type deal. So I think there's some of that going on. I think eventually it will make money. I just think it's gonna be a while, and I hope they don't kill it in the meantime because I love Game Pass. It is fantastic. I am paying full price for it, and I'm okay with that. I don't care. It's a great value, and that's fine.
Yep. Regarding Keystone, Spencer added that Xbox is, quote, still focused on the project, but that pricing it appropriately compared to the other Xbox models has proven to be difficult. The digital-only Xbox Series S retails at $299 or less during price promotions, of course, while the Series X is priced much higher. To make Keystone appealing, the price tag would need to be significantly lower than that of the Series S. I don't think so. I think if you had, honest to God, bro, if you had a $50 fucking difference, I don't think people will give a shit because there's no fucking difference between the all digital version S and the fucking this. It'd just be a smaller stick or system.
Have you tried their cloud gaming?
Yeah, I have.
It's not great.
So, but this is the problem. So it's not price, it's infrastructure then.
Right.
It's infrastructure paired with the fact that they can't take a loss because Game Pass doesn't fucking make money yet.
So I have done a decent amount of cloud gaming.
Is it better than Sony's?
Through, huh?
Is it better than
I haven't tried Sony's. I kind of wish I would have tried Stadia a little bit just to compare, right?
Apparently it's good.
Apparently it's fantastic. Like as far as how it runs, it's supposed to run except yes. For a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's true.
But I have done a decent amount on my Steam Deck. And the problem there, and mind you, the Steam Deck actually has a fantastic Wi-Fi card, which is incredible. The issue I found is that so it sacrifices graphical fidelity in order to maintain frame rates, which is fine. But the problem is it starts to artifact really bad as you will play something. So I have to only play games that I'm like, oh, if this fucks up, it's not going to be a problem. So like I saw a video of somebody playing Forza, and they listed out what they had as far as like Wi-Fi and this and that, and it was decent enough that it shouldn't be an issue. They were playing Forza, it artifacted like crazy, and even then it still stopped for a second, and next thing you know, he was in a fucking wall. So as much as I enjoy the idea of cloud gaming and what Microsoft is doing with Game Pass, I don't think it is quite there yet, and I really kind of wish that they had the same setup as Stadia, where Stadia actually fucking worked apparently. And so it is kind of this weird deal where it's like, this is cool, but you got to figure your shit out first before you go with an all cloud gaming console. Because I personally wouldn't buy it because I have tried it and it fucking is not fantastic. Even playing a game is like you suck at parking, right? That game will sometimes artifact like crazy and then glitch out to the point where next thing you know, I fucking missed a run that I was trying to do, and that's it. So they need to work on their infrastructure first before they actually start going with things like this. And I think eventually this will be the way to go. You buy a little fucking stick, you put it in the back of your goddamn TV, and that's the end of the day. But it's not there yet. It's just not there yet.
Just to finish it out, too, it says Xbox would want to obviously include a controller, which adds additional challenges when it comes to cutting costs. He quotes to finish up, I don't want to announce pricing specifically, but I think you've got to be $129.99, like somewhere in there for Keystone to make sense in my view. that we just weren't there. He said we weren't there with the controller, and I love the effort. The reason it's on my shelf is the team rolled up their sleeves, and in 9 months they built that thing, and a bunch of us took it home, and it worked. It worked really, really well.
I doubt it worked really, really well, but I bet it worked.
Yeah, I also think too that with all the supply chain issues in the world right now, launching a new product right now is a fucking terrible idea.
Yes.
I think you kind of want, especially products where they're either a loss lead product or they are a product that just breaks fucking even in its current form so that you can adopt people to a service. So like if this was built for $99 and that bitch goes up and now they're losing $20 every single one that's being sold because they have to build it for $129 now, that's no good.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree, especially when you got controllers that are $50 to $60 and then you add in the stick, you're $150 in. You might as well, I mean, you're not too horribly far away from just getting a Series S and calling it a day. And I think that's the better route to go.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I have one more story.
Okay, this will be the last one.
This will be it then. So these are actually, as we just talked about Xbox, I have some things that are coming to Game Pass. So Pentiment is coming to cloud, console, and PC, and that's actually available now on Game Pass, as well as Somerville on cloud, console, and PC. Coming soon, also available now, sorry. This is an old article. Dune Spice Wars game preview is available on PC. Ghost Lore, a game preview, is available on PC as of now. Lapin is available on cloud, console, and PC. Norco is available on cloud and console. Gungrave Gore is available on cloud, console, and PC starting November 22nd. Insurgency Sandstorm is coming to cloud and console on November 29th. Soccer Story is coming to cloud, console, and PC on November 29th as well. Warhammer 40,000 Darktide is coming to PC on November 30th. And that pretty well wraps it up. Also, Vampire Survivors came to Game Pass, which is kind of cool. Because apparently people fucking love that game. So,
you know what? Teach thrown.
Yeah,
vampires are coming back, I guess, because there's zombies, there's vampires now. I'm not a big vampire.
Oh, also,
I think of Twilight.
A weird little side note here: Gearbox purchased the Risk of Rain IP, not the company that makes Risk of Rain, but just the IP. So, if you liked Risk of Rain, it's probably going to die soon. Or not die, or it is going to be killed. Sorry,
at medieval times in like fucking T-minus 2 weeks. That is still one of the top stories that's blown my mind on this podcast.
Oh, it's incredible. That has to be one of the
a USB in medieval times.
That honestly has to be the best thing we have ever covered. Just incredible.
Just the most random shit. Like, it's one thing to like. Just take. Why would you ever have a USB on you in your pocket, anyways, on your way, like at medieval times? Just be regardless of what's on the USB.
Who fucking knows, man? I couldn't even tell you the last time I took a USB anywhere. Insane.
That was so fucking funny, dude, when that happened. Oh my god. Well, guys, that'll do it for this episode of Diggity. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing to the podcast. Spread the word about the podcast as well. This podcast is available on every single podcast platform you can think of. Please consider leaving us a review as well. Help spread the word on the show. And consider subscribing to SpawnCamp, youtube.com/SpawnCampCo, where you can see other stuff like Diggity, WSD, and beyond. As well as Build Bros for some Gunpla stuff. So go over there and check that out. Again, Discord is free. You can join that. That's fun. It's in the show notes below. Have fun with that. And until